The following program is a color feature presentation on the HSM Television Network.
Hey, these uniforms are lame, man.
This is the new cut. Y'all be mad. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
The absolute worst!
Okay, when it comes to mascot gifts, yeah.
Right, yeah, he's the greatest, right? The Raptors guy.
But when we declare him best mascot of all time, like that's then.
Well, for this kind of stuff.
The Toronto Raptors mascot never lit himself on fire, Zach.
This is true.
He didn't light himself on fire. The ring of fire lit him on fire. Let's clarify that. That's
the key distinction, Mike.
He's not just going to center ice and setting himself ablaze.
Look, all right. Also,
which, what was it? The Abbotsford Torch. Remember that guy? Or
yeah.
No, it was the Glen Falls Flames, and their mascot Scorch, who was a little spark that killed firefighters.
Right. Yeah, I remember him. We talked about him on the show way back.
Oh yeah.
So okay, well, since we've opened this can of worms, who do you think is the best mascot?
It has to be the Fanatic, right?
I'm not crazy about the Philly Fanatic. Might be a Philly thing.
What about Gritty?
No.
Gritty is very good.
Most disturbing, sure, but best, I don't think so.
Also, Gritty's backstory is absolutely horrific, and
Gritty is very good. See, the Fanatic just is at the top because, like, you've seen all the mascots of baseball that they have now, right? And all of them are some sort of derivative of the Fanatic.
Absolutely.
Not the Blue Jays.
No, but there's been a bunch that came. The two most prominent ones that I can think of in recent years. Houston, the Astros introduced Orbit.
Orbit, right.
And the Braves have introduced, I think it was just this year, Blooper. And both of them do the same thing as the Fanatic, where they're big, amorphous, furry things that have like antennae, and before the games they do antics with the players. Like Orbit with Mike Trout has always brought like out a fishing net and a fishing pole and like tried to reel him in and stuff like that.
Oh, that's witty.
Blooper this year with the Braves got an autograph from Manny Machado, only to peel off the covering to reveal that Manny Machado had actually signed him a $30 million check.
I'm going to go with the Phoenix Gorilla.
Really?
Yeah.
The Sun's gorilla.
Yeah. And how can we forget, guys, come on now. This thing has led to a person we actually know possibly losing his mind, Mr. Met.
Mr. Met is up there.
Okay, Mr. Met isn't responsible for Tank, all right?
Then there's that horrible thing from Washington, or Western Kentucky University. That thing.
The Hilltop thing, yeah.
How could we forget? What is it? Buzz, the buzzard mascot for the Clippers?
Oh no, that's what's his name? Conrad? Like that.
Is it Conrad? It's some kind of buzzard or like condor thing.
Yeah, a Chuck the Condor.
Oh yeah,
because he wears Chuck Taylor's.
Great name too, Chuck the Condor. Actually, if you want to look at it from a historical perspective, probably the greatest of all time because he started the whole thing. San Diego Chicken.
Right.
I don't think he even does anything anymore.
No, I believe the San Diego Chicken is retired, but he's the mascot godfather. If you will.
Absolutely, I agree. He started the whole thing. They used to have, back when the Toledo Mud Hens played at the old Lucas County Recreation Center, which was just a shithole of a stadium, they would draw a good night was they would draw 900 people to a game. That chicken would come to town twice a year and fill that place, like 7,000 people. That's how popular he was. Just to watch the chicken. And he would only come out every 2 or 3 innings. So yeah, I think the chicken's up there. Well, what was the Canadians? Youppi.
Oh,
Youppi, right?
Youppi. See, the Canadians didn't have a mascot for the longest time. Youppi was the Expos mascot, and the Nationals gave him to the Canadians when they moved to Washington.
Yeah. Now, do the Presidents Racing, do they count as mascots? The one that the Nationals do every game?
Technically, I think they also have an eagle.
Mm-hmm.
That's like an actual mascot. I'm not sure.
I think there might be too much now. There might be too many. Because I went to an independent league game Saturday, the Lake Erie Crushers, which is the Frontier League, I think. Anyway, they had a mascot, and I thought, okay, that's fine, I guess. The kids dig it. You know, it's bad baseball. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it and go, oh, it was horrible. Like, I think when I was 25, I could have made that team. I really believe that. That's how not good they are. But, you know, for what you get, it's a beautiful park. It's small, but it's really nice, and it's cheap, and it's a fun night out for entertainment. But even they had a mascot. Everybody's got one now.
The best mascot is Carlton the Bear, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
But see, like things like Carlton, and for the most part, mascots are the large majority of mascots fall under the category of fine. They're fine. Then there are the few that are suboptimal, which are like, I think of the Lovecraftian horror creatures that are things like King Cake Baby,
Oh, yeah.
the original New Orleans Pelican, Hunter the Bobcat.
How about
Hunter the Bobcat's he's still around. Like,
oh yeah, sporting that 6-pack.
Fred Bird?
Yeah, it's really fucking disturbing.
Fred Bird for the Cardinals? Not great. I'm just looking at pictures now. Do the Browns have a mascot? I mean, that's a dumb question for a Cleveland. I know. I should know that more than you guys
more than
would.
I would, yeah.
I like the Rams mascot. Rampage is pretty good. Wild Wing for his being lit on fire. Pretty good.
Oh, the Blue Jackets have had a couple of very interesting mascots.
Well, yeah. I mean,
at least one of them
was still doesn't make sense. Stinger or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Hey,
and then Boomer.
Boomer, the giant inflatable cannon penis.
And Boomer made sense in all the wrong ways.
Like, oh yeah, well we have a cannon as a logo. Let's make an anthropomorphic cannon. Mm-hmm. Sure, sounds fine. Oh no, what have we done?
Look, all I'm saying is that the Raptors mascot.
I think he would have been fine if he wasn't a balloon. By the way, if he was like a felt character, he probably would have been able to get away with it. But it's just the inflatable part.
Like a giant inflatable condom. Go ahead, Mike. What were you going to say?
All I'm saying is that I think the Raptors mascot has a body of work that I feel needs to be respected.
Absolutely, without question. He has put together. When you put Raptors mascot GIF in Google, you come back with all sorts of images,
In
which
fact,
is great.
Raptors mascot GIF might be a glorious tournament of victory entry next year.
Yeah, there you go. Write it down. Don't forget it.
Yeah, I'm putting it on the list.
I'm sure I'm pretty sure one of you has used like the actual Raptors mascot.
No.
As a thing.
The only mascot that I've ever used was Wild Wing on Fire in the first one.
Yeah, and what's his name? I can't believe I can't. Gritty made it this year.
The fans will fact check us on that.
Indeed.
Somebody remembers better than we do.
They always do. It blows my mind how they'll be like, no, back in 2014 you said this, and it's like, I did? Okay.
Well, we put it out of our mind. Like it didn't, it happens and then forget about it.
Well, you've done 450, I think this is number 458 of these things. You tend to, they kind of all blend together after a while.
Yeah. I agree that it's a great GIF. No doubt, one of the all-time NBA mascot GIFs.
Multiple great GIFs, actually.
When it comes to NBA mascots, I think we have we have the Phoenix Gorilla. We have the cat that's the Nuggets mascot.
I don't even know
I don't know his name, but he's famous. He jumps off ladders.
Mike, what is the Raptors mascot? Does he have a name?
I honestly do not know.
Is it 619?
Let's take a look. Raptors mascot name.
Well, I can tell you one.
Raptors. Good job, MLSE. It really broke the brain trust coming up with this one. He's just called the Raptor.
We spent weeks in research and focus groups, and we came up with this, the Raptor.
The Raptor.
I'll tell you one thing that the Raptor has.
I messed that up, Mike. I messed up that joke. Raptors 905. Let's forget. I said 619. Raptors 905.
One thing the Raptor has that the Phoenix Gorilla does not is a world championship ring. So let's not forget that. The Raptors mascot, or the Raptor, excuse me, is now an NBA champion.
Question is, can Drake qualify as a Raptors mascot?
Well, it depends on who you ask, I would imagine.
Honestly, I forgot to say this last week, but I was actually kind of happy that the Raptors won in Oracle, just so that Drake couldn't bum rush the stage when they were handing the trophy out.
You know, I don't have an issue with the guy being a big fan and all that. That's cool.
Well, he's part of the front office, technically.
Yeah,
he's global ambassador.
Yeah. I think he's overdone it a little bit, maybe.
I don't know. I was just having this fear that they'd win it in Toronto, and then Drake would body check Kawhi Leonard out of the way and grab the trophy and be like, "We did it!"
Like Kevin Hart tried to do at the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Was it last year?
He essentially did that in some of the post celebration stuff. Not at the parade, but I did see a picture with him holding the trophy and we won the chip, and it's like, no,
Did you?
Yes, you did, Drake. Yes, you did.
Did you win it, Drake? Did you?
He is a member of the Toronto Raptors.
If he's on their payroll, he's going to get a ring, guys. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know if he's on the payroll, but he's on the.
But if he's officially part of the organization, then yes.
He's going to get a ring.
Okay,
yeah,
so the Raptors had normal championship hats when they won it on the court.
Right.
But then for the championship parade, they were wearing different championship hats, and for the parade, the hats that they were wearing had a giant Drake logo on one side.
They were Drake-made hats.
And I was like, oh no.
Drake made its own line of hats and T-shirts.
Of course he did.
He released a 2-song mixtape for the championship as well. One of the songs, of course, being called Trophies.
That puts some thought out, right?
The fact that the album wasn't called Boardman Gets Paid bothers me.
Seems an obvious choice, right?
Indeed. But as far as NBA apparel goes, guys, we live in a world with new Houston Rockets uniforms.
Yeah, I saw those. I like I guess I don't know what the fuck they call it now, but the throwback I like. I like a lot.
It's kind of sad when the best thing I can say about the new Rockets uniform is that throwback's nice.
It really is. The other ones aren't bad. They're not terrible.
They're fine. Again, they're fine. Again, when I see these, though, it's like, okay, but why does the logo look like it does? Because, if you're just going to make it red and white for the most part, there's some – it's not even black. It's anthracite or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Why did they
Nike
change the logo like that?
Nike, as always, had an excess of gray material, and they just needed to get rid of it.
So wouldn't these look great? I think if you just went with the old school, the throwback color scheme, I think these new ones would look really good.
In my opinion, they should just go to the throwback look. Just go back.
They're not bad.
They're more the two primary ones. I'm not calling them whatever they want to call them. The two regular ones are boring as hell, I think.
Here's what you have. You have a home uniform, a road uniform, and a throwback. That's what those are. Nike can call them whatever they want. That's what they are.
But if you scroll down and so I guess the Rockets have now gotten rid of what was the whole thing when teams do this. It's like, oh, well, we want to get our own proprietary font so that we can trademark it and all that.
Yeah, it's easy to crack down on counterfeiting and
yeah. The old one was extremely unique. That was completely the Rockets font. Now this is I don't know. It doesn't look.
If that's proprietary, it's not so much so that it's obvious. It just looks like a block font.
It looks like it could just be a standard font you use in like MS Word or something.
The numbers look the same, I think.
Yeah, they are. They are.
But like, why change the word mark to that? Like, they look completely generic team builders.
Well, the Nike speak that accompanied this wasn't.
Please regale us with the Nike speak.
It wasn't the best because obviously this is super simple, like pretty boring stuff. They put rockets on a red jersey and we're like done. But they said that the new word mark is a cleaner look as compared to the old one. It's a cleaner look.
Okay, I can see that part. But
yes and no. I mean, it wasn't like the other one was cluttered and hard to read. It's simplified. I'll give them that.
They also said that they're going to be adding a black alternate because, of course, they will.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I see here at the bottom of the article. These are just the 3 uniforms that we have, and then they will add the City Edition uniform in November.
And then, of course, an earned edition because they made the playoffs.
And earned, presumably, they say in December. Let's see. The club said that it would not be a Chinese language version of the uniform as their past City Editions were, and had only been teasing the new look as, quote unquote, this is for the Houston Rockets uniform, out of this world.
Oh, God.
They really
here's what I'm saying. I like this look. I shouldn't say I like the font better than the old one. And I think that had they gone with the gold trim and added the gold, and like they did with the throwback, the Houston one, with these other 2 looks, that'd be a really solid uniform set. Nice basic NBA uniform. Not a thing in the world wrong with it. It's not going to shoot to the top of anybody's favorite list. Maybe it will. I don't know. But I don't get the gray. I don't understand it. Where did it come from, and why do they have it?
What seeing the 3 uniforms together makes me think is that the yellow one looks better.
I mean, the nicest thing I can say again was like that throwback looks nice. I wish they would wear that.
It does. Looks good.
And apparently they're only wearing it for 1 year to celebrate the 25th anniversary of their first championship.
And if maybe I'm thinking of a different article already, but I think they're only wearing it 3 times.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's awful. But
this is going to end up being like a Miami Dolphins situation where they wear it once and everyone's like, "Oh wow, that's good. Like, why don't you just wear that?" And then they'll come up with some branding excuse not to.
The home uniform, the white jersey, I like a lot. I think that the gold added in there would have made it really look good, but I like it as it is. The road one, I don't get the gray, but it's fine. It's perfectly fine. There's not a thing wrong with it.
Yeah. I also get changing because they've had that same look for quite a while now, but I would take the previous these ones. There's just nothing to these ones.
I like these better.
I always thought the previous look that they adopted when they got Yao Ming was really underrated and kind of unfairly maligned. A lot of people seem to not like it, but I thought it was completely fine.
It's okay. I just like this one better. I mean, I neither one of them am I doing backflips over, but I do like the new look better than the old one. The old one still had, I don't know, I don't want to say gimmicky because it's not really that gimmicky, but but you know me, I'm a simpleton when it comes to uniforms. I like as basic as you can get, and that's why I like the new ones better. That's about the best way I can describe it. But they're not bad. They're not terrible. The throwback is awesome. Looks good.
But speaking of the NBA, apparently, according to people in the know, because we're dealing with Nike here, going into next season, apparently we have been told to expect across the entire NBA 75 new uniforms.
Oh, that's good. For how many teams? 30?
Across the entire league, yes, 75 new uniforms.
And there are how many teams?
30 teams.
So that's over 2 new uniforms per team. That's almost 3.
Yeah.
2.5.
Well, yeah, it's
2.5 uniforms. 2.5 uniforms per team. If you know, just average.
it's 2 per team, and then the 16 that made the playoffs
are going to get, the earned ones,
right.
which the idea
half the league makes the playoffs, so that's
which kind of makes the earned thing like stupid because if half a league,
especially when as we saw, they just make like if it's a black version of the city version of the black uniform, they'll just make it white, and if it's the city one's white, they'll make it black. Mm-hmm. Like. It's just like a Homer Road version of whatever.
And again, it's the NBA, so it's not like every team that makes the playoffs actually really kind of deserve to be like.
When you go 38 and 43 or 40, whatever what it come out to, the math would be for 82 games. But you're 5 games under 500 in the East. Have you really earned anything?
Come on.
Yeah.
Did the Detroit Pistons really earn anything this past year?
I could almost buy. I can't. No, I can't. I can't make any excuse for this. I can't justify it at all. But if I were going to try, I'd say maybe the teams that made the Final Four. The 4 conference finalists. Okay, maybe even the last 8 teams. But everybody. Because in the Eastern Conference, like I said, you can win 35 games and make the playoffs.
Those poor Orlando Magic fans deserve their earned uniforms.
Yeah,
Greg. Come on.
We finished.
I would love to see actual sales numbers for these things because, like, my thing is like, as a fan, I like to have the idea that everybody's in this together. We're all wearing the same uniform, sort of idea, right? Mm-hmm. But you even start to see this with like the Ducks where, people come to the games as much as I like all the various identities. People come to the games in their Mighty Ducks jerseys and there's like 3 different versions of the Mighty Ducks jerseys. There's the orange jerseys. There's the black jerseys. There's the Stadium Series jerseys. There's the this, that, and the other. And like, I think I have almost all of them. So it's 13 or so different versions. That's nothing compared to what's going on in the NBA right now. Where like, in any given season, I could buy 5 different jerseys for my team. And 3 of those are probably going to get swapped out next season, most likely.
Oh, yeah. No, I can tell you for sure that at the very least, the Lakers, Magic Johnson jerseys, the stupid black pinstripes, those are going to be gone because I was at a Champs Sporting Goods store the other day and they had those on discount. So
that was a City Edition jersey, if I remember right.
I don't even remember.
I know, but like. The whole idea was that those are ones that are actually going to change like every year, every 2 years. Mm-hmm. And all that's like, again, you're flooding the market with all these various looks of your brand, and there isn't any one look of your brand anymore.
No, it's hard to call it a brand at this point.
I mean, again, going back to the Lakers, like designing the Los Angeles Lakers uniform should be like the easiest thing in the world. Like, right. Like this isn't something that's going that requires you to break the wheel, I guess, so to say, or reinvent the wheel. Like you have the Lakers drop shadow numbers and word mark. You have a purple jersey, you have a yellow jersey, maybe you have a white one for like the weekends or something, and that's it. But this shouldn't be complicated.
But when it comes to a league as a whole, you're flooding the market with 75 new jerseys as a whole. Like, what the hell? Like, at a certain point, you have to have diminishing returns, right?
Well, let me ask this.
It can't be worth their time and effort to do this all the time.
I don't mean, and I gotta hope I don't sound racist when I say this, but is it the African American market like what they're shooting for with this? Because I know that for a time, Mitchell and Ness jerseys were a real big fashion statement in that demo. I mean, maybe that's what this is. I'm not sure.
Not as much as they used to be. Like clearly that was a time where that was just the hot look. It was all the rappers wore it, and that went down to the fans, and then that crossed over genres and demographics and everything where everybody was doing it.
Right.
I don't. That can't be it. It's just not as big of a thing anymore.
Honestly, I don't necessarily think it's the African American market. What I think it is, and I think this is kind of the thing that says that, there might be an end to this madness in a few years, which is I think what they're doing is they are doing to the NBA, like currently, what Nike, and Nike wasn't alone on this, but they were the ones leading it. What Nike did to college football over the past couple of years. Like, you remember, like, college football for a while got absolutely ridiculous with the number of specialty uniforms and like the one-offs and all this bullshit. And not to say that I think fan bases are separate, because, you know, there's obviously a lot of crossover among sports, but I think by and large, you know, you have people who are more fans of one thing than the other. And so, you know, Nike's just basically taking the same marketing strategy that they saw they could sell to college football fans. And now, you know, it's the NBA's turn. I no doubt they would have done this with the NFL if the NFL would have let them, but the NFL is very conservative when it comes to, like, their overall brand.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they are at this point, really.
When it comes to stuff like this, though, I think what Nike might be really taking a page out of, especially when they're trying to market it as, you know, basketball being such a global game and all that, is soccer, is, you know, upper division soccer, where teams change their jerseys every 2 years or so, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But at least in that way, for the most part, they are the same general feel. And like you'll get some weird clash kits because they have to be different, you know, for rules purposes, and you know, then they'll get like a third jersey maybe. So at most soccer teams have 3 jerseys in a given season, and maybe one of them will rotate out every year. And so you have this schedule where, you know, you're just getting a new jersey every year, and the primaries kind of stay what they are. And obviously, they still sell millions of these things across the world, but again, that's kind of a limited number compared to, and again, soccer jerseys are t-shirts essentially, right? You can wear them, you know, anywhere and anytime for the most part. Basketball, like, unless you're living full time in Florida or Southern California, and even then it still gets cold here, like, you could wear them as tank tops, I guess.
Well, forget that, like, for a second, though. How comfortable are any of us going out with just a basketball jersey on?
Oh, not us, no. But
no,
like,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, maybe the younger people are, but I'm not. I couldn't.
No. Like I don't. I just have like a Raptors T-shirt, not a jersey or anything like that. Just like it's not a jersey, but no, it's a red shirt, and it's kind of got like the faux faded distressed graphic of the old throwback Raptor playing basketball, and it just says like Raptors basketball on it. That's usually what I'll wear if I'm going to wear a Raptors thing. But no, I'm not going to be. God, no. Like my basketball jersey wearing days are long gone, and so
mine too. I mean, I've got a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Lakers jersey that I absolutely love, but I'm not wearing it anywhere. You know, it just hangs. Yeah. It's just I have it because he's my favorite player and I like it, but I'm not putting that thing on and going out in public in it. Yeah, I don't know if I went to see the Lakers play the Cavs, I would wear it. I don't think I would.
If I wear a Lakers jersey, it would be to a Lakers, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. And I'd have a T-shirt on underneath it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that. Even when you get to a certain point, like, you just don't wear jerseys out to wear jerseys out. It's just not the way it goes. But I don't get it.
I will say in terms of, you know, jersey cohesion, I mean, the Ducks might have a bit of a situation, but at least you've got a better deal than the Canucks have.
Oh, sure.
Like, yeah. You ever take a look at a home Canucks crowd? It's like a bag of Skittles.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, because they have the 3 different eras. You know, well, 4 technically, I guess, but you know, the blue and green, the black and red and yellow, and then the blue and navy, or the navy and the red, and then you throw in the red, the flying V jerseys. You throw in the Vancouver Millionaires jerseys. You throw in this, then, whatever, and yeah.
Same thing at a Cavs game. I mean.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it. These people, most people, aren't out buying every jersey that comes out. So you'll see Cavs jerseys that are from LeBron's first time around to the most recent ones and everything in between. And that's like a very inconsistent brand. It's
The Cavs haven't helped themselves though, because I don't know if they still do this or not, but I remember at one point they were doing the whole like Cav fanatic thing where it was like where like it would be like a throwback jersey design, but in another throwback era's color scheme.
Right.
So
yeah.
it was like
that was just a total cash in while LeBron was there. They did it both times he was here. I mean, but you see a crowd at a Cavs game, and if you didn't know jerseys like we do, you'd be thinking, well, who are these people? A lot of times, I mean, it's obvious because it says Cavs or Cavaliers on it. But from a distance, you're like thinking, who and how many different fans from how many different teams are here?
Isn't UConn the one that tried to start that whole civil conflict bullshit?
They have a storied rivalry, Greg. How dare you besmirch their legacy?
Right. The storied rivalry that, as a joke, we made fun of and predicted that the trophy would get lost and all this other bullshit that we just made up on the spot.
And then it did.
We were exactly right. But I think that's the greatest prediction in the history of sports because we were so detailed. And it basically came out exactly like we said it was going to.
Yep.
100%. Yeah. So there you go, folks. That's you don't get any better prognosticating than that. Do we want to talk? I know this kind of died on the vine a little bit. But do we want to talk a little bit about that stupid Tampa Bay Montreal / thing?
Yes, please.
Yes, let's do it.
Please.
Yes.
What the hell?
The latest extortion attempt to try to get an arena out of somebody.
Did they really think for a second they had a chance of having two cities build two stadiums? I mean, of course not, right?
I don't think that was ever serious. No, like this was clearly pitting two areas against each other to see who would crack and offer an arena deal first.
The thing that's stupid about it is because we can all see through it, but the real stupid part about it is that MLB was like, oh yeah, that sounds like you can talk to somebody.
This is a viable plan.
And it's like, wait, so you're gonna let them try this? Like, or did they let them try it because, like, okay, sure, go talk to Montreal, see if they want to do that.
What, like MLB front office was snickering as they're like on the phone with the Rays? Like, sure.
I bet you they. I bet you.
Hey, Commissioner Manfred, this is Tampa Bay Ray here.
Tampa Bay Ray.
I would like to possibly talk to the fair citizens of Montreal about letting us live there in a timeshare, part-time.
Right.
So you would play in Tampa and Montreal, like consecutively, like you would switch series. No. We would start the season in Tampa Bay, and then, when we were halfway through the season, we would kiss those fans goodbye and go to Montreal and then finish the season there.
And
where we could either be in a playoff race or completely out of it, and that would determine whether or not people would care.
And did you see the bullshit reasoning they came up with that? They said that way they could capitalize on the nice weather in Florida at the beginning of the season and the nice weather in Montreal towards the end of the season? Oh, yeah. Come on. It was so bad. I think Major League Baseball thought, you know what?
Yeah, sure. Fine.
Why not? If you can get a stadium out of it, if you can do this without us getting involved, by all means.
I think MLB, I mean, honestly, it might have just been like, I don't know, I think Zach's right. Like, it was just like, sure, okay.
Whatever. And then they hung up the phone and laughed.
See what happens when the rest of the world hears about this.
Yeah, right?
My favorite name, though, for the proposed name was the X-Rays. I mean, that's just perfect.
That's great.
It's pretty good.
The other one I liked was Atlantic Coast Travelers.
There you go.
I thought that was neat.
This is anybody that thought about this for more than 5 seconds realized this was all just a negotiation ploy. Mm-hmm. Because any sort of slight critical thought to this is like, okay, so you're gonna have the players buy 2 houses and get green cards for 2 countries.
Oh, what a disaster!
And you're what city would host the playoffs?
Are you going to learn French? Like,
well, you know what?
Seriously, Tampa Bay. What happens when they say, "Oh, we don't care about a team that's only going to be here half the season"? Like, I don't. And then, and the other part of, you can't get one stadium built in one city that you currently stay in. Mm-hmm. So you want to try to get 2 stadiums built. One in a city that you currently play in but won't fund it, and another in a city that you don't play in
The other city that refused to fund a stadium for the team they had. So, like,
I have no idea. Like any sort of critical thought, and this goes completely out the window. Like what? I think the biggest like upfront one is like, if you're a Tampa fan, why the hell would you give a damn about this team if you know they're going to leave halfway through the season?
Right.
And if you're in Montreal, why the hell would you give a damn about this team if they come to you and they're like 20 games under 500 already?
Right. That's the thing. If baseball was that popular in Montreal, that they would be willing to sit and wait a half a season just for a team that really doesn't belong to them to show up and play 41 games, the Expos would still be there. None of this we wouldn't be talking about any of this. It's so stupid on so many levels. And but here's my thing, and I've been beating this drum, I think, from the day we started this show. Baseball is not going to work in Florida. The sooner they learn that, the better off we'll all be.
But like the way that I see here is that like Montreal has been pretty stingy about using public funds for stadiums.
As they should be.
The various cities in Tampa Bay have been very stingy about using public funds. That's why the Rays can't get a new stadium, because every proposal they have is like, will St. Petersburg or Tampa give us money? And both say no.
I loved the most recent one where they made a plan and said, oh, yeah, somebody else will pay for the other $300 million. And everybody else is like, oh, will we?
And the city's like, no, we will not.
But you know what, though? Go ahead, Mike. I've got a thought after you're done. Go ahead.
But my point is that, like, maybe, like, from the Rays' perspective, they're like, if we split a season, like, play half at Tropicana Field and half at Olympic Stadium, and oh God, is that an arena combination from hell? But like,
let's not play in the worst stadium in baseball. Let's play in the two worst.
Right.
But
right,
like,
that's the other part that was great was they wanted to build 2 outdoor stadiums and these things. Like, okay, fair.
But the idea that I'm thinking is that, like, in the mind of Rays ownership, they're like, well, Montreal won't pay for a stadium. Neither Tampa or St. Pete will pay for stadiums. So what if we pit them all against each other? Then maybe one will crack.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing that makes anything close to sense.
But what happens when nobody does?
Then they're playing half their games in Tropicana Field and half their games in Olympic Stadium, and nobody cares.
Say hello to the Oklahoma City, whatever they're going to call them.
They'll sell them to the Sonic people.
But you know what? When they were going through all of this, I started thinking about it, and you always hear that we'll build a new stadium, it'll revitalize downtown, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. We've heard it with every new stadium that's been built in pretty much every sport. And it really never works. Winning is what fills new stadiums. I mean, because look, Miami, like it or not, it's a nice park. It's not a bad place. Nobody goes. What was the another one I was trying to think of that they build these new stadiums? You know where it works? Is in the minor leagues. Everywhere that they build a new park, that place is full all the time. Now, granted, you're only trying to get 7,000 or 8,000 people, but I would look to the minors if I were them and say, "How are you guys pulling this off?" Because I don't get it, but it's true though. Because like I said with Toledo with the Mudhens, no one went to their games when they played at the old place. They built Fifth Third Field, which is a very nice park. And I guarantee you they're drawing 5,500 a night. Now, that's not a lot, for major league scale, but for minor leagues, it's great. And it's just, I don't know why it works at the minor league level, it doesn't at the major.
But as we've said with minor league sports all over the place, people aren't going there for the sport. They're going there because it's a thing to do in that town.
And the price point is right, too. It's cheap.
Right.
I think
here's the
go ahead.
just the winning versus new stadium argument with the Rays. They did win.
And
they went to a World Series. They've been in league title contentions. They've been, even in the years where they've been down, it's like, oh, well, there's still promise and they're still going to get better. But nobody cares enough to show up. So, and I don't want to cast an aspersion across all of Florida and say, like, it's just not good for baseball, because Arizona's a spring training area and they do just fine with the Diamondbacks, seemingly. I think it's both of those teams have been so horribly mismanaged in their times.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the Marlins have 2 World Series championships.
Look what happened after each of them.
Right. And so why would you have any loyalty to a team that's not going to stick together? And on the other side, the Rays were just such garbage for so long. And so it's like, well, the team's bad. The stadium sucks. It's out of away, I'm not going to care. So that even when they finally do get good, it's like, okay, but I'm not going to commit to it.
I like baseball. I enjoy baseball. Mm-hmm. And going to a game at Tropicana Field is a depressing, sad experience.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's just horrible.
It's like I might as well just go to a Costco and walk around for 2 hours.
I'm not kidding
honestly.
you. I've only been there one time. I've been there once or twice. But when I was there, I went there specifically because the Angels were in town when I was there, and I wanted to see them play. And I went, and I'm sitting there, and by the third inning, I'm like, I am not enjoying this at all. It was just the most depressing place to watch a baseball game I've ever been to. Like I said, their big upsell was you could sit in old airliner seats, like in the outfield.
And they have like the Ray tank at the far end,
which
is
these
like
poor creatures captured in these fucking Walmart kiddie pools.
It's like that's your really okay.
But I would say too, the argument versus Arizona and Florida is that in Arizona, there's nothing else to do. Well, I mean, it's great in the wintertime when it's warm out and stuff. You can be outside and everything. But what are you doing in Arizona when it's 114 degrees? There's no beach.
Into the air conditioning.
There's no beach to go to like there is. Florida has more to do. But I don't know. Maybe I think at the Marlins with the 2 World Series titles, had they kept their shit together and not just made it plain that every time we win, we're going to scrap the team, maybe things go a different route for them and the park with the new stadium and all that. You're right with the Rays, though. They've just been so poorly run. But I also say this. If you take the Rays from, say, 2006 to today in their current state and stick them in Oklahoma City, they're getting $35,000 a night. I promise you. Because they're the only game in town. And B, fans there would appreciate that. I don't think that, Florida, especially Tampa, is so full of transplants. It's just a weird thing. It's a weird dynamic. I don't know why it doesn't work, but I know that it doesn't. And I don't think it's ever going to, especially in Tampa. Maybe in Miami if you finally get it right, but I wouldn't count on it.
Now, the funny thing about Tropicana Field, aside from being
all of it,
is that the reason why this idea died on the vine is because apparently the lease the team has with the city of St. Petersburg and Tropicana Field is so airtight. It's actually hilarious. So they have to play there until like 2027. Keep in mind they signed this thing in like 1995, and they're there until 2027.
Can you believe they used to use that place as leverage in other cities? Like, if you don't build us a stadium, we're going to move to the new park in Tampa or in St. Pete.
I mean, that's part of the Tropicana Field problem, isn't it? Because it was built in the 80s to lure other teams, and they never got one. So then it sat empty for 10 years. They finally get one. It's like, here's a new team in a 10-year-old stadium that.
It's like 10 years old when it was like 10 years old when the team was awarded, and then they signed a lease until 2027 that is apparently so rock solid that we talked about the plan that they had to build in downtown Tampa where they just threw up a plan and were like, we don't know how we're going to pay for it. Well, like the only reason they were able to propose that plan was essentially because they paid a fine to the city of St. Petersburg to negotiate with the city of Tampa. Like the lease is so rock solid that they've got to like pay up just to talk to other cities.
Right. The one place in the world where you probably really don't need a lease like that. And that's where you get it.
And it's so hilarious because I think someone it's so punitive too. Like the Rays technically could buy out the lease, right? And just end it. But it's something like hundreds of millions of dollars per year remaining. And so if they wanted to buy out, I think someone did the math. It's over $1 billion they'd have to pay right now if they wanted to get out of it today.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Of all the cities, of all the teams, I think sports would have been better off had the Browns been locked up in a deal like that, or the Raiders, or even the original Rams, the original LA Rams, not the St. Louis Rams, or the St. Louis Cardinals for that matter, the football Cardinals. Teams that really probably shouldn't have moved that did. Nope, we've got the Rays, who no one gives a fuck about, locked
they
into a
can't
lease,
move.
and they can't get out of it. Yeah,
They can't move.
But here's all the lease aside, if somebody came in and bought the team, the right amount of money could get them out of it.
Oh,
you
sure,
know?
absolutely.
And so, and I think if you're the Rays or if you're Major League Baseball, and this team has to get to this point where they even bother suggesting this like out loud, something needs to be done.
They need to be moved. It's as simple as that.
This is an official breaking point where it's like, you know what? It's an embarrassment to the league that this can continue to go on. And like, I think more than other sports, I mean, we talked about this before too. Baseball is just the harder of the four sports to support full time. Yeah. Because it is so many dates and you have these giant stadiums that need to get so many people in it. It's like you have 30,000, 40,000 seat stadiums, and during most days of the week, you're lucky to get like 15 or 20.
Yeah.
And then, for the big games, you might sell it out. But like generally speaking, it's not a whole lot. So where do you put them? Do you put them in Charlotte? Do you put them in Oklahoma? Do you put them in Vegas?
Well, see,
Portland, Vancouver?
My argument all along has been you've got to do like they did with the Thunder. You've got to put them in a town where they're the only major league team there, or at least only one of two. Mm-hmm. You can't throw them in. Well, Charlotte's got the Hornets already.
The Hornets and the Panthers.
Yeah, that's too much.
The Hurricanes.
And the Hurricanes. That's Raleigh-Durham. That's too far away. But I think a great spot for the Rays would be like Oklahoma City, San Antonio, maybe Vancouver, somewhere along those lines. They've got to be the big game in town. And don't go out and build some big 60,000 seat stadium. Make it like 35 and be happy with what you can get. There are ways to do it. I think that the reason the Thunder are so popular is because they are it. That's it. I mean, come on. Oklahoma City and the National Basketball Association, 30 years ago, anybody has said, yeah, that's going to be a great idea. But it works because they're the only game in town. That's the way baseball's got to look at it. They aren't the big dog on the block anymore. They aren't the NBA. They aren't the NFL. They can't say, okay, we're going to move to, we're going to give New York a third team. Here come the Rays, the New Jersey Rays. It's not going to work. You got to go where you're going to be a big deal. And maybe that's a smaller market than you like for TV purposes, but that's the way it's got to be if you want to be successful. That's what I think anyway.
The whole thing is comically absurd. And I don't know. Like, I don't know what they can do. There's no way that this current status quo can continue until 2027.
No.
Like, it's just
you want to do this for another 8 years?
Well, not only
which
that,
is
but
absurd.
Do you really think that? I mean, like we said, this is a team that made the World Series in 2008, and you could walk up the day of a World Series game and buy a ticket if you wanted to go. Now that's bad. That doesn't happen anywhere. I'll tell you, the only time I saw it happen was in the 70s with the A's, and I still don't understand it for the life of me. It was one of the big dynasties in baseball history, and they had trouble selling tickets to the World Series, but I don't get it. But it's untenable there. They cannot keep it up. No one wants to go to that terrible park. You build a new stadium. No one's going to go to that either. I don't know what it is. And, Florida just doesn't work. I don't think it works for really that well for anything but football. The Dolphins don't draw very well. They're not very good. But I don't know how the Panthers do. Or the Heat, but,
Oh, the Panthers. The Panthers are their own stupid.
How do the Lightning draw? They draw pretty well, don't they, Mike?
Lightning do pretty well, yeah.
Lightning do pretty well, but then again, they have stadium in downtown Tampa. So,
and it's
a stadium in downtown Tampa and a franchise that hasn't been dog shit for years.
Yeah, and it's a very nice facility too. I've been there.
Although it's going to be interesting to see how people react after this past year.
Well, I'm sure the President's Trophy banner raising will be a sight to behold.
I'm actually trying to angle to get opening night tickets for the Lightning because I just want to see if they do that. Like, I want to see if they have the balls.
Yeah, I think it'll be enough in the rearview mirror by then.
President's Trophy winners.
So, Mike, when I'm down there this winter, probably not the best idea to wear my Blue Jackets jersey to a game.
want to wear a T-shirt to a Lightning game that says we won 62 games and all I got was this T-shirt. I mean, like, I don't know.
Did you? I mean, nobody does, but did you see the NHL awards?
No, I didn't. Although I was happy to hear that Cooper did not get Coach of the Year because that would have been just
that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
But Kenan Thompson was the host, and one of the jokes that was written for him, I'm sure, was he was something like, "Oh, the Tampa Bay Lightning set a record in wins this season, and also set a record for least amount of playoff wins in a season." Good to know that no matter what, they're always setting records. Just like
I saw that. Yeah,
they cut to Nikita Kucherov and Victor Hedman in the audience, and not a reaction at all from either of them. Just like, yes, continue, please.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much that you went out in the first round after having that record-setting season.
It's a sweep.
You got swept, and not only that, but you got your asses kicked.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just that series was never even close. Never even close.
I hope they use urinating trees idea and have a banner that says we won 62 games but got swept in the first round.
Well, I'm waiting for my Blue Jackets to hang up second round playoff participant. That'll be great.
Well, like Zach's already pointed you in the Sharks and Predators directions. They can hook you up with a
right.
guy who does that.
Yeah. Panthers have a banner guy, which I'm sure there will.
I swear, if the Jackets do something like that of any sort, I'm going right back to the Rangers. Fuck that. No.
Second round playoff participant.
Yeah, if they do anything that stupid, I'm gone later. I still got all my Rangers gear. It wouldn't take that much to switch back, believe me.
But I don't know. I like MLB. The other problem with baseball too is like we have the Rays who just need to be something done with them, and then you have the A's who need to stay in Oakland, but just can't seem to actually get it locked in stone to stay in Oakland. So much so that the Portland is like out there. They've got a deal, but again, it's not like the ink hasn't been put on it yet. It's like, no, we're going to do this. And then like until it physicly happens, I don't think anyone should be holding on to it until,
Well, basically San Jose has basically said, hey, we'll do whatever you want, but the Giants step in and go, no, that's our territory.
Right.
And screws that. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, but Oakland supposedly has this plan like up in the harbor.
Oakland Harbor. I saw a workup of the stadium. It looks gorgeous. It should be fantastic if they can get it done.
It's just a matter of getting it done.
Okay, so I've got the stats here. According to this incredibly tight lease with the city of St. Petersburg, which again runs till 2027. The Rays, to get out of it today, would have to pay $200 million per year for each remaining year.
Oh my God.
$200 million. And so to get out of the lease, if the Rays wanted to get out of the lease today, it would cost them $1.6 billion.
God.
The franchise isn't worth that much.
The franchise isn't worth $200 million.
I mean, Steve Ballmer paid $2 billion for the Clippers. Like, but geez, yeah.
Wow.
Like, which is why this sucks, because like who's going to pay that? Like, even if someone bought the team, right?
How is that real numbers for that stadium, for that team, for that market? Like, what the hell?
I don't know, but whoever the St. Petersburg politicians would put that together should get reelected. Is that wow?
That's just like I'm imagining back in '95, right? Like Tampa Bay Rays expansion team. They're like, all right, let's work out a deal. And like the lawyer who was negotiating for the city was like, I'm just going to throw this out. Like, start high, then you work your way down, right? Right. Like you go high and then you come out at a compromise somewhere in the middle. So like, I'm just going to put this most ridiculous offer I could think of out on the table. And then they're like, deal.
Were they part of? They weren't 95. They came along in 98, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think they came in 98, but I think the team was awarded in 95.
Well, in 95, that was when all those franchises moving around. And maybe St. Pete said, hey, we're not going to let this happen to us.
Yeah.
You put a team here, it's going to be here a while. Wow.
Yeah.
$200 million. Oh my God.
All I can think of right now as a metaphor is the movie /book Misery. We're just like, No, I'm going to break your ankles. You're going to stay here forever.
You're here forever.
You're not going anywhere, dude.
It's like, oh boy.
Yeah, and they've got to they've got to pay off the city just to talk to other they have to pay off they have to pay off St. Pete just to have permission to talk to Tampa, which is less than an hour away across a bridge.
Wow.
And it's this is again, whoever wrote this contract up, I want them as my lawyer because they
also, I want to say, when it comes to, this corporate era of sports that we live in, I am so surprised that is still the Tropicana field.
Mm-hmm.
I got to imagine that Tropicana is in some sort of similar situation where they paid,
they can't get out of it,
but they have to pay $500 million to get out of it.
No, we don't want to sponsor it anymore.
The city of St. Petersburg's lawyer was just on fire that month.
Damn,
he was
man.
just
there are deals with the mob that aren't this ironclad. Come on.
I get it. Hey, considering the makeup of South Florida, it could be a retired mob lawyer that's just on the St. Petersburg Council now. Well, who's to say that if you don't sign this deal that your mother ends up in the Bay? Who's to say?
Right, exactly.
Whoa, okay. Yes, sir.
But apparently, the guy, I forget the guy's name, but the guy who basically who got the expansion bid that became the Rays, apparently his attitude was always I'm not going to own this team forever. It's the next guy's problem, not mine.
Well, that's it truly is. I can imagine some I'm going to save the team. Oh, this actually is worse than I thought. I'm going to leave. I can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just cracks me up that this team is locked into a city that really doesn't want it. I mean, maybe the government does, but the fans,
the government wants it because no matter what, the Rays draw nothing, but the Rays still got to pay rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you've got that big giant white elephant sitting there in Tropicana Field. I mean, they're making money off of it, and.
Does the city get parking revenue or something?
I have no idea.
Have you ever been there, Zach? Have you ever been to the place?
No. I've been to Florida twice. And to Tallahassee and Orlando.
As bad as it is, I think you got to go to at least one game in Tropicana Field.
Oh, yeah.
Well, apparently I have 8 years to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no
plenty
rush.
of time. No rush. Right. No rush at all. It's if I remember right, it's just it's not in a horrible neighborhood.
No. I mean,
it's just okay.
It's actually in a cool little neighborhood. They've got they've got a bunch of hipster places as far as food goes. So you got a lot of cool restaurants around. It's not a bad location as far as St. Pete goes. A lot of people say that's the problem. Just driving to St. Pete is in and of itself kind of a pain.
It is a little off the beaten path when you compare it once you go over the bridge and all that. I mean, you can't take there's not an easy way to. I mean, I shouldn't say not an easy way, but it's not a convenient way to get to it. There is that. It's true.
Both the Bucks and the Lightning play in downtown area, the downtown area. So it's those are definitely easier to get to. But I mean, even then, I admit, I really like the city of St. Pete. I'm in Tampa, but I've spent a lot of time over the bay in St. Pete.
St. Pete's awesome.
It's a cool city.
Yeah.
And the immediate neighborhood around Tropicana Field is pretty nice. But the problem is, though, once you get in, it's just bad.
Right now,
and I'm used to going to Jays games and Rogers Center / Sky Dome. That's nothing to write home. It's not one of these modern day baseball palaces.
Oh, but dude, that place is like Camden Yards compared to Tropicana.
Yeah. Rogers Center might as well be Yankee Stadium in terms of just ambiance.
Right now, it is a half-hour drive from Tropicana Field to Amalie Arena, where the Lightning play.
That's about right, yeah. But factoring in traffic.
It's
right.
It could be a half hour to 3 hours
right now. So that's what it says with the current traffic conditions.
Yeah,
so.
I mean it's and you pull up and it just kind of pops up out of. You're just there it is.
Yeah, it kind of just you're just driving along the highway, driving over the bridge, and then it's just all right. But the thing about it is, again, like, I like baseball, and so ideally having this baseball team, this major league team, less than an hour away that I could just pop in kind of like the day of. Just be like, I think I'll go to a baseball game today and get tickets to – because you can get good tickets. Like,
every day.
But the problem about it, right, is that it's just depressing to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's depressing to sit in. It's
not even well lit. I mean, it's not like you can light it up and make it look pretty. Like, say, maybe
it's
like Arizona. Arizona, the roof's closed more times than it's not, and it looks fine. Or like in football, you've got like the Colts, Lucas Oil Field, the roof's closed more often. I mean, it looks good. Tropicana Field, a big Costco, big Sam's Club, like playing in the basement. It's horrible, just horrible. But I guess we're stuck with it for a while because they aren't going anywhere from the sounds of things.
No.
Well, yeah. Like this year, the Rays are in first place in the wild card, but this is also the same season where they hit a franchise low in attendance. For a game.
Wasn't it a makeup game or something like that they played?
I'm trying to find the number.
I saw.
I think it was 1,700 or something like that. It was bad.
And I mean, it's so bad. Like, I mean, you could even buy cheap seats and then just walk up to a better seat. Who the hell is going to stop you? I mean,
it was on May 28th. It was the announced attendance was 5,786.
That's not a legitimate number.
Yeah,
5,000?
But somehow Miami is still garnering less attendance than the Rays are this season.
Yeah, I don't get that. That's just
you know why? You know why? Because Derek Jeter sucked all the joy out of that stadium. Why? Would
They took away. I can't even go see the stupid fish statue anymore.
I mean, that was like the draw. Like, okay, the team's dog shit, but at least I'll see the stupid fish statue. Now I don't even have that.
He took. I mean, not that the prior set of uniforms are great, but they were better than what they're wearing now.
Right. I love that it's like, oh no, the neon will pop off of it, and you see them in action, and they look black and white.
Yeah,
they look like the color might as well not even be there.
I don't get why. Okay, Jeter was some people say a great player. I'll say he was a what's the word for a guy that just played a long time? Player.
Prolific.
Not even prolific, really, because his output wasn't that much. He was consistent.
He had 2,000 hits.
I thought he had 3,000. It was the first Yankee to get 3,000.
He had 3,000 hits. He won World Series.
All right. Well, I think he's a little overrated. But that's beside the point. Yeah. The thing is, why do they think because I'll even say he was a great player. Why do they think that makes him a great executive? I mean,
look at Michael Jordan, perhaps best basketball player of all time, and his team is dog shit. So,
look at poor Wayne Gretzky.
That's an NBA problem.
But also, look at poor Wayne Gretzky trying to coach the Phoenix Coyotes, and it turns out that Wayne Gretzky was so good because he had like this untapped instinct that no one else had, and you can't teach that. You can't. It's like no, Shane Doan. Why aren't you seeing the play 3 plays ahead? Because I'm not you, Wayne.
It's funny. It's a shame you guys never got to see him play in person. I had the opportunity one time, and it was in 96, I think. So he was way towards the end of his career. But just watching him on the ice, even at that advanced age, you could just tell how much better you could see, like, this isn't going to make any sense, but you could see the way he saw the ice by the way he played. Yeah. It's just like, oh, my God. It's like one of my great thrills to get to see him play. I mean,
but, like, with Jeter, I think the other problem with Jeter in the Marlins is they're doing the same thing all over again. They literally had the future NL MVP on their roster 3 seasons ago. Mm-hmm. And they gave him away to Milwaukee, where he won the NL MVP.
Yeah,
one of Jeter's first moves was to let Giancarlo Stanton go to the Yankees, and it's like you have to try. Like the main thing, I think a baseball team can lose, and it's not obviously the goal is to win, but a team can lose. But as long as you look like you're trying, then people might give you the benefit of the doubt. My problem with like the Angels for the last several years is like, yeah, you have all these players, but you're not doing the things to make the team, like you're not fixing the problem.
Right.
And so like, why, I'm not going to care until it looks like you're starting to fix the problem. The Marlins have never tried to fix what is the issue. They just keep trying to put a bow on it and say, here's the future. Here's a new stadium. Here's this. And it's like, I can understand why the Marlins don't draw, because they're just, as a franchise, they're terribly run.
Well, they're terribly run, and they have, now I don't know about the new ownership, but when the Loria and that crew ran the place, I mean, they lied. They would tell us, they would say they were going to do shit, then they wouldn't do it. And, fans are going to be like, hey, you know what? You can go fuck yourselves then. I don't care if you build a new park, because we can't trust a word you say. They did, it was a few years ago, I think maybe HBO did like basically a baseball version of Hard Knocks, and it was with the Marlins. And that, the two guys at the top, Loria, and I forget the guy's name.
Samson.
Was that his name?
Yeah, Samson.
They were just such idiots. Like, it was just unbelievable that, I don't know, but, maybe Jeter's got the right idea. He's been there, 2 years now?
This is his first season.
Well, first season, so it's literally kind
Jeter?
of... Yeah.
No, Jeter's like third year there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Whatever the case, I don't know if he's been there quite long enough to make a real assessment yet, so maybe he does know what he's doing, but...
Marlins are pretty dog shit, not gonna lie.
No, they are. They absolutely are. And what was his reasoning for taking out the quote-unquote sculpture anyway?
He's a joyless bore. That's all I can figure.
But he didn't. It's not even just taking out the sculpture. The concourses used to be like red and yellow and green, and now they're literally navy blue and gray.
Yeah, he completely like decolored the entire park. He took the sculptures out. The concourses are less lively now. Like, it's just
so everything that made that a Miami Stadium, he's taken away.
Yeah.
Okay. What a jackass.
And further to go back, Zach, you mentioned that, the neon colors don't pop on the uniforms and they look like they're just wearing black and white baseball uniforms. It's hilarious when they wear their black jersey, because that's black on black.
Right.
And it looks like they're just wearing black jerseys and hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as I said from the start, baseball in Florida is a problem. Clearly a bigger problem in Tampa, St. Pete than it is in Miami, although neither situation is great.
At least Miami was interesting for a while.
Yeah.
Like, you had the stupid statue, you had the crazy uniforms, and now they're just a black and white team with a navy and gray stadium. And yeah, well, I still, as long as I've got my MLB The Show, I've still got my statue out in center field in Marlins Park, so I'm good. But anyway, like the fact that we will no longer be able to see that magnificence saddens me. Like, that was the greatest thing.
Hey, I mean, who cares? It was stupid, but it was fun. And what's wrong with fun?
Here you go. Here's a game shot from an HD TV, mind you. Of the Marlins in black. It's loading now, and there you go.
All right, hold on. Let me see here.
Just take a look. Marlins in black. This is just someone's screenshot from a TV.
Right. Can we call this a piece of art? Just Marlins in black?
Marlins in black.
Marlins in black. There you go. You cannot see barely on the back of the player closest to us in the shot. You can kind of see lettering.
Right, but again, this is on TV. Imagine you're in the stadium.
Yeah.
You're in the upper deck. It's a bunch of people walking around in black shirts and white pants. Doesn't matter who they are, because really it doesn't matter who. It's actually on the jersey anyway.
Right, yeah. It's not like you're going to know them either way. But anyway, anything else for the night, boys, or are we about ready to wrap it up?
Women's World Cup, I don't know.
The USA advanced today. They're in the quarters against France on Friday.
Oh, did they beat Spain?
They did beat Spain.
Are we at all surprised by this?
No. The thing that sucks with just the way that the draw broke down, most people consider France and the United States as the two best teams in the tournament, and they had to play in the quarterfinals instead of the final. But really the big story out of the Women's World Cup so far is you have the ongoing talks about the compensation for the women's team and all that, which hopefully gets addressed when the tournament is over. And then the other thing is the video review, which has been prolific throughout the tournament. It's the first Women's World Cup with video review, and there's been a lot of it is kind of the thing that people are not happy about. But I believe it's Friday. It's the game of the tournament, France, United States. So
all right, I'll be sure to tune in.
Don't lie, Greg.
All right, I'm not going to pay a bit of fucking attention. There, you happy?
Well, when we talk about other topics, the only other thing we could talk about, because Mike and I have differing opinions, is on X-Men: Dark Phoenix.
Well, we will get to that next week.
I enjoyed it.
We will get to that one next week.
I thought it was boring.
Okay. Quick reminder, folks, believe it or not, that time of year is rolling around again for the annual Bass Ask Us Anything show. Keep that in mind. We'll give you more details as we get closer to it. And as always, follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and YouTube. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time.
See ya.
Later.